All right, welcome to the first week of the Detroit Lions podcast, Writers Roundtable. Joining us today are Brandon, Adam, and Nathan, three of the writers we have on DetroitLionsPodcast.com that put out that great daily content. We're starting out this as a weekly sort of streaming event. We're recording the first one. We're going to do some live streams later. We may even involve the audience, some phone calls and stuff, but you can join us and watch this as it grows, much like the podcast did, and much like most of the work that we've had done has grown along the way. With that being said, let's kick off this first episode. I'm going to hand it off to you, Adam, and let's talk about Lions schedule breakdown for the 2016 season.
Yeah, so as you guys know, the schedule just came out for the Lions, and even though we knew the opponents, we didn't know how many primetime games we'd have, who the Thanksgiving matchup was going to be against. So a lot of exciting things going on. Personally, I kind of think that it's going to be, somewhere. It's hard to predict this early in the season, but anywhere from 8-8 to 10-6, maybe 7-9, somewhere around there. And hopefully towards the end of the year, they'll be in contention for a good little playoff run. So I don't know what else you guys are thinking about for record-wise, as you kind of ran through the schedule.
I have us ending at 10-6, so it's a little optimistic, I know, but we'll explain our points in a little bit. Nate, what about you?
So I'm taking the pessimistic Lions view on this and going 7-9, trying to be just under realist.
All right, yeah, sounds good. So let's just get started here in week 1 at the Colts. Hopefully, this is personally last year going with the Charger game. I think the Lions came in feeling like they were going to win that game easily at halftime, and then after halftime, they just kind of laid down. So I think this year Caldwell will come in, have him ready to go for that first game, and especially with him kind of being on the hot seat, I think they'll
agree with that. I know Andrew Luck's a great quarterback. I respect him. He's one of the best, but doesn't have much of a run game. Offensive line is a major issue for him. So I think Detroit can actually pull that one out and hit him a few times, so Detroit wins week 1.
So I got the Colts winning in week 1. We're there, and I believe that Andrew Luck's going to come out and play really well.
And then week 2, the home opener against the Tennessee Titans and Marcus Mariota. I think this will be an easy one for the Lions. The Titans are doing a lot of things, but they're young. So I just think the Lions will be able to pull it off with their experience.
On that. You don't have any weapons. Joe Green, Beckham, and Rashard Matthews. Not a big fan of Matthews. And DeMarco Murray will be a factor for him, but I just think Detroit's too good for him. Detroit's going to win this game.
Yeah, I agree. I believe we're going to win our home opener. I don't think Mariota is ready. I think he's going to be in a sophomore slump. So I put this one in our favor.
Then after that home opener, they got to travel to Green Bay, which they miraculously won there last year, even though they tried extremely hard to lose that game. And I don't think they'll make it 2 in a row at Green Bay, and I think they'll lose that one.
Yeah, have to agree, definitely. 2 years in a row winning at Green Bay, no, not going to happen. Jordy Nelson's back, and Eddie Lacy lost some weight. Hopefully he gains it back. But I don't think it's going to be a win for Detroit. We're going to go 2-1 now.
I think the heavens would be opening up if we won twice in Lambeau Field. So I'm taking it as a loss.
And then, right after that Green Bay game, they got another divisional opponent on the road in Chicago. And even though they've won 6 straight games, I don't think they'll win this one. The Bears are kind of redoing their defense there with Danny Trevathan coming over from the Broncos, and they'll spend probably their 11th pick in the draft on defense. So I think the Lions will lose.
I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Kevin White's back, and Matt Forte's gone. Jeremy Langford did fine, but I just don't see their defense being that good compared to where they were last year. And also, Jay Cutler, is he the same Jay Cutler as he was in Denver, pretty good, or is he the shitty Jay Cutler we all know and love? So I'm going to give Detroit a win.
I always pick Detroit when it comes to the Baby Bears over in Chicago. So I'm taking the optimist point on this one and calling a Lions win.
Chicago in week 5, they'll go down to they'll go back to Detroit and play the Eagles. And I don't think it'll be the same trouncing it was on Thanksgiving, but I think the Lions will win that game.
I agree with you entirely. It's not going to be a trouncing, But, I mean, Bradford's overrated. He's inconsistent. They don't have any running backs, really, that can be a caliber depth unless they draft Elliott. But defense isn't that great either, so Detroit wins Week 5.
I haven't seen the Eagles do much to improve from last year with our game. And so I'm calling this a win for the Lions, and I think we have a chance to trounce them. I'm looking for another.
So then they play the new Los Angeles Rams at home again in their 3-game homestand early in the season. And I just don't think they're going to win this one. The Rams beat the Lions last year with Case Keenum at quarterback, so whoever they draft is going to be better than Case Keenum, and Aaron Donald is just too big of a force.
I'm going to have to disagree with that one. I think the Lions can win this one, even if Goff, my bad. Goff is the reported number 1 pick. He's better than Keenum, correct, but I just don't think he can be that quarterback yet. Gurley's going to be the tough part to take down, but I think Detroit can pull this one off quickly.
I think the Rams, they're doing a lot of good things in building up their team. But I just think the Lions, during this streak at home, they're just going to clean up shop. And I count this one as a win for the Lions.
All right, trying to move along here. We got the Washington Redskins at home against hometown hero Kirk Cousins. I think this will be a win for the Lions.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. I think the Lions lose. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a pretty good quarterback. I mean, the lack of the run game will definitely affect Washington. But I just think this is a week where Detroit just chokes. They're not playing their best, and Washington's just going to be on fire.
And I think this is going to be our last win on the at home for this run. So I'm taking it as a win.
Okay. Then they head down to Houston to the home of the Super Bowl for hopefully their first of 2 games in Houston this season against Brock Osweiler and the new look Texans. I think J.J. Watt's going to be too much, and the Lions will lose this game.
100% agree. J.J. Watt is a monster. Our offensive line is complete trash. So he's just going to have a field day, throwing offensive tackles and guards everywhere. So I see Detroit losing.
I'm predicting a Lions meltdown in the second half of the season, so this is going to be where it starts. And I see this as a loss.
Then they have to head to Minnesota the week before the bye in Minnesota's new U.S. Bank Stadium, and I think this will be a loss. Teddy Bridgewater's up and coming, and their defense is just beginning to become what I think it's going to be. So I think this will be a loss for the Lions.
Definitely agree with that one. Detroit's not going to win this one. Stafford got manhandled last year. It's going to happen again, and they're at home. They have that little bit of advantage, and also Adrian Peterson. So I think this is going to be a loss for Detroit as well.
Yes, I agree as well.
All right, so then after the bye week, they got Jacksonville at home. I think this will be a win. Jacksonville's got a lot of good things going, but I don't think free agency signings and all that stuff translates to wins, and they're still young. So I think the Lions will win this game at home.
Well, I would 100% agree with you because I don't take Jacksonville seriously. They've never been serious in the AFC. I'm just going to put this down as a loss because they got really good weapons, and I don't think Detroit has enough depth in the secondary to contain all those weapons, so I'm going to put this down as a loss for Detroit.
I'm counting this as a win. I think the Jags are on the way up. They're kind of like us in a way, but I think we're going to pull out a win.
Then they have Minnesota at home for the Thanksgiving game in their black color rush uniforms for the Lions. I think this will be a loss as well. They're going to lose twice to Minnesota 2 years in a row, sadly.
Back in black. We're back. We want those black jerseys back on. We got them. And I think people love black jerseys. I think Detroit's just going to come out swinging Thanksgiving, eat that turkey up. Detroit's winning that game.
I see myself crying in my Thanksgiving turkey and cranberry sauce, so I count this as a loss.
Then they have to head down to New Orleans, which is always just a really tough place to play. But, the only thing holding me back from giving the Lions a win would be Drew Brees. But even though he's one of the best quarterbacks, in recent memory, I think the Lions will win this game.
Yeah, we had to agree with you on that one. Drew Brees just has Brandon Cooks, Kobe Fleener. Nothing else really there. Their defense hasn't been anything special in years. So I think that's an easy win for Detroit.
I think that every year there's at least 1 or 2 Lions losses that are just unexplainable, and I believe this is going to be one of them. We lose to the Saints.
All right, so then they have the Bears at home, and I don't imagine Nathan would be picking the Bears to lose this one though. But I think the Lions will win this one pretty easily.
Well, agree with you on that. Week 14, we might be in the playoff hunt. We're going to be hungry. We're going to want to be back in the playoffs. So win for Detroit.
I always pick Detroit over the Bears.
Sounds good. And then they have probably their only cold weather game of the year in New York. I just don't see the Lions winning this. Odell Beckham's just going to be too much for them.
Agree with you on that one again. OBJ against Slay will be a fun matchup to watch, but I think it'd be too much for him. And with Vernon and JPP on the defensive line, if Detroit not figured it out on the offensive line, I think it's going to be a loss.
Yeah, I'm counting this one as a loss too.
Then they have to go back for the hopefully revenge game in Dallas. But I just think if the Cowboys are in the playoff hunt, Tony Romo's getting older, his window's closing, and Des Bryant's an animal. So I think the Lions will sadly lose this one in Matthew Stafford's hometown.
Keyword you just said right there, revenge. I think Detroit's out for revenge. They're going to come in Dallas, and Tony Romo's always hurt, underperforms all the time. I just don't see Detroit losing in prime time. They're going to want to show the world that, hey, we can do this, we can win, let's go.
As much as I want to prove my Cowboy fan friends wrong, I believe that the Lions are going to lose actually in Dallas.
Then for the end of the year in Week 17, they have to play the Packers at home, which hopefully will be maybe for the NFC North crown. But even though the Lions, it's another revenge game with that Hail Mary that should never have been last year. But I think they'll lose this game to Aaron Rodgers.
Technically, we beat them last year. They had a phantom face mask call. I see Detroit winning. I mean, Green Bay could be in a position where they're already in the playoffs. They could rest all their starters. Detroit can get the easy win. So I see Detroit winning this one.
I got this one as a loss, guys. I just feel like we're gonna not win out at the end. So unfortunately.
So with the consensus pick, I think that puts the Lions at 9-7 this year, which probably is pretty accurate with losses to Green Bay twice, the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Texans and the Vikings twice as well.
All right, guys, thanks so much. This is great stuff, great analysis. The schedule for this year, the 2016 playing year. You guys did a good job. Thank you, Adam, Brandon, and Nathan for coming together. This is the first of what's going to be many more of the Detroit Lions podcast, Writers Roundtable. The outcome here seems like a pretty much unanimous decision that we want to say fuck Chicago, but we're going to have a tough time in the division this year. So we'll go with that. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and watch as this thing grows and gets better as we go on.